Yo, good evening, USA, International Canada, Long Island, aka Strong Island, plus the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens, plus the tri state area of New Jersey and Connecticut. This is your man and homie, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator, your host with the most. Rhymes with Narrator. Yes. Um, yes, Gregonator rhymes with Narrator. Your host with the most, misunderstood, lonely nomad, unstoppable independent podcaster, and of course, creator, YouTuber, and of course, Queens, New York native, who is also a New York Mets fan and New York Giants fan from the neck of the woods of Laurelton, Queens, New York. And yes, you are now rocking with me by listening, tuning in, streaming, and watching the 422nd episode of Off the Meat Rack Chainz New York Avenue podcast. And happy first week of fall, everybody. And I hope y'all have your warm clothes and blankets and everything else set up on deck, because next week is going to be feeling like fall. So you might want to look at the weather forecast on your phones and tablets, and of course your laptops and whatnot, your TVs, whatever you get your weather forecast and stuff. So we're live and direct from StreamYard alongside with YouTube and alongside with the comfort of my room where I do my podcast recordings. And this is the place where I talk about various topics involving New York City transit news, alongside with a little bit of music news, a little bit of TV, movies, a little video game news, and a little bit of tech, a little bit of everything. Now, if you are new to the channel and you missed out on any episodes whatsoever, please feel free to go ahead and hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel page. Leave a like and a comment along with the topics. Tell me how you feel about the topics in each episode whatsoever, including this one. And of course, speaking of which, if you like to be able to know how to get a discount, you can also check out let me just find it right here. No, hold on. No, that's not it. All right, boom. All right. So, if you like to level up, whether you are live streaming, whether you are a podcast host, whether you are a gamer, or whatever you do on YouTube, Twitch, or any other streaming platform, whether it's including Kick, whatever platform you use to do your live streams, check out the website www.streamyard.com. That way you'll be able to get in on the action on getting yourself a discount. And of course, it has new features, new updates and stuff, which I will actually do a whole episode about this in a future episode. So stay tuned for that as well. And I hope y'all are enjoying your first week of fall, actually, as far as the weather, as far as like trying to, get as much exercises as you want, because lately the weather has been a little bit shitty and gloomy. So that's pretty much what that is, actually. So it's been raining and stuff, so I kind of get it. And yeah, I got a lineup of topics to talk about here. One in particular is a little bit of breaking news in terms of the LIRR strike being postponed. A little bit of the Interborough Express updates, along with the other transit news, and of course, the recent one in regards to Jimmy Kimmel and and being suspended and all that other stuff. I'll break that down. Um, and along with various topics. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. And and let's cut to the chase. All right, let's cut to the chase with this. Oh, a quick remind. Let me just say this though before I forget though. Before I forget though, man. In case you're wondering about Omni, right? Um, Nice Bus does not have the Omni scanners on their buses. So so basically what I found out according to and shout out to Andy from Andy's Randomness for pointing out when they are going to actually implement the Omni scanners on their buses. It's going to take place at the end of the year, I believe. From what he said, is going to be January 1st. All right, because the Metro cards are going to be phasing out on December 31st. And in case you're wondering about transfers and stuff, I wouldn't worry too much about that. The transfers will be included once you take care of your fares and stuff. It'll be included. If not, you would have to ask the driver actually. So you have to ask the driver for the transfer on your Omni card. All right. Whether you are using an Omni card, whether you are using your phones and all that other stuff. Me personally, I wouldn't even use my phone because I wouldn't even use my phone for that though, man. It just seems like it seems like a lot to remember and a lot of work. So yeah, and let's get to it right here, man. Let's get to it right here with the transit stuff right here. Let's get into some transit talk. Um, let's get into some transit talk right here with this. The New York Mass Transit Files, man. You know what it is. This is where I cover some transit stuff, what's going on behind the scenes in terms of stories of the MTA New York City Transit and the craziness and the shadiness and all that other stuff. So boom, there you go, right here. Let's do this. All right, on to some transit stuff, and of course, let's start off with the LARR being the LARR strike being delayed to 2026. So here's what's happening here, in case nobody didn't know what's going on here. Let me just break this down. All right, so recently, according to the New York Post, Long Island Railroad riders will stay on track for now. A strike that proposed to cause travel nightmares for screwed commuters was shelved for at least several months as union officials took an unprecedented move Monday to get the cheese face President 47 administration involved. A coalition, a coalition of five unions wants the feds to put together a presidential emergency board in hopes of reaching a settlement with the Metropolitan Transportation Authority and avoid a service suspension, as they took numerous shots at the transit agency and Governor Kathy Hochul. End quote. This action does not mean a strike won't happen, said Gil Lang, the general chairman of the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen's LAWR engineers. But it does mean it won't happen now. Okay. All right, so the federal board could review proposals for both sides and offer recommendations during mediations that could pave the way for a new contract for about half of LIRR workers who were threatening to strike. The union heads said. Um, while the contract fight goes through the federal process, LIRR workers could avoid strike until mid-May if no deal is reached, union officials said. Members of the five unions all authorized going on strike if and when the time arrives. The looming strike had riders on edge as MTA leaders worked to sort out a contingency plan, including telling passengers to work from home if possible and providing bus service for essential workers. About 270,000 commuters rely on the rail system to get them between the Queens and Long Island region and New York City daily. An LIRR strike has not taken place since 1994 and lasted 2 days. Union officials assailed their counterparts for drumming up a scare campaign to demonize workers during contract negotiations. Jim Lewis, the national vice president of BLET, said he had never heard of unions making a request for an emergency board during his long career. End quote. I can say in my 49 years in the rail industry that this request by the unions is a first, he said. The MTA fired back Monday following the union's announcement. After months of radio silence, these out, outlier unions have finally admitted that they weren't serious about negotiating. They never had a plan to resolve this at the bargaining table, MTA spokesperson John McCarthy said in a statement. If these unions wanted to put riders first, they would either settle or agree to binding arbitration. And if they don't want to strike, they should say so and finally show up to the negotiating table. This cynical delay serves no one. The governor, for her part, also said the White House should step in, but to tell the unions they aren't allowed to strike. Hmm. Yeah, y'all need to stop playing fucking games, man, with all these commuters. We have to get away from the strike language, and the White House and others should be using their power to say you are not allowed to strike, Hochul told reporters at an unrelated press event upstate. You cannot strike. Work it out at the table, and that's it. The group of labor organizations and the MTA were at odds, apparently hopelessly over how much of a pay increase the roughly 3,400 workers should receive. The MTA is fighting to dole out a pay bump of 9.5% to workers over 3 years. The unions want an additional 6.5% bump for a fourth year for 16%. The MTA said the unions would need to surrender concessions on existing work rules that significantly inflate salaries. For the larger pay increase, LIRR President Rob Freed previously said. Union, union leaders during Wednesday's press conference accused the MTA and the state of using LIRR riders as pawns during contract negotiations. Um, the MTA will continue to play their games and scare people. BLET President Kevin Sexton said maybe after they might dial it down a little. He claimed the union is only asking for the status quo when it comes to the cost of living, but insisted the MTA rather stall on figuring out an agreement. Leading up to Monday's announcement, LIRR riders were panicked over how they get to work if a service was scrapped until a contract was reached. And it's a nightmare. I'm screwed. I have to go in every day, said a 37-year-old man who spends about $400 monthly to travel into the city. Damn. Damn, 400 fucking dollars? Damn. That's fucking crazy, man. That's crazy. That's insane, man. That's fucking insane, man. And I do feel for him, man, you know? Damn, $400? Yeah. Oh man. That's crazy, man. That's really fucking crazy though. Now, from what I've been hearing actually, yes, the strike has been delayed till May 2026. So that way you don't have to worry about missing out on the Riders Cup weekend event that's happening in Farmingdale, which I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let's see. Now on to let me see. Now on to some crazy stuff in transit news actually. So let's get into some crazy stuff, man, happening in Manhattan and Brooklyn. No, excuse me, not Brooklyn, but the Bronx. Let's see. Oh man, this is so fucking insane, folks. But anyway. So a little recap of what happened last month. Police in Lower Manhattan are looking for the suspect who slashed a strap hanger and stole her cell phone in a bloody robbery on Wednesday night. According to police sources, the attack unfolded aboard a Harlem bound 3 train near the Wall Street station in the financial district just after 10 p.m. on August, which took place on August 6th. Law enforcement said, law enforcement sources said a male perpetrator approached a 29-year-old woman and demanded her bag. Seconds later, the suspect pulled out a sharp, not a sharp object, but a sharp instrument and went on the attack, slicing the woman across her arm, elbow, and back. The slasher then removed her bag, grabbed her cell phone, and fled in an unknown direction, police reported. And you want to talk about subway crime is down? Like how many times we gotta hear about another slashing incident? Like we've been hearing about this shit like fucking for months. We've been hearing that shit for months. I don't think I believe that shit was down though, man. Do I think it's been planned. I think that shit was planned. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Yeah, that shit is planned though, man. I do believe this shit was planned. And yes, as you can see and stuff, man, yeah, this is crazy, man. Let me hold on. This is crazy. I'm sorry, but I don't think crime is down in the subway stations. Nah. All right. All right. So let me just let me continue where I left off. But before I continue where I left off, in case anybody's wondering, I'm watching the New York Mets take on the Chicago Cubs at the moment. Right now, the Mets are leading 3-0. I'll continue to keep track of it on my Android tablet. So, in case anybody's wondering if I wandered off, no, I didn't wander off. I'm actually multitasking. Um, so, so yeah, there you go. All right, so officers from the First Precinct and NYPD Transit District 2 responded to the incident. EMS rushed the wounded victim to Bellevue Hospital, where she was listed in stable condition. Police described the suspect as a man in his 20s who was last seen wearing a navy hooded sweater and carrying a gray backpack. Of course, no arrests have been made, and the investigation remains ongoing. Anyone with information about this attack is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 800-577-TIPS. Um, and for the Latinos out there, you can call 888-57-PISTA. For Spanish, submit a tip at crimestoppers.nypdonline.org or message NYPD Tips on X, formerly Twitter. All tips are kept confidential. All right. All right. So next we have another incident. We have another incident that happened. Hold on. We have another incident that happened. Involves a pedestrian. But this one, okay, so but this one is about a man that was killed crossing a major Bronx street early on Sunday morning. According to law enforcement sources, officers from the 50th precinct responded to a 911 call of an unconscious person near the busy intersection of the major Deegan Expressway and um, Molshalou Parkway at around 2 a.m., which took place on September 7th. When officers arrived, they found a 30-year-old man unconscious and unresponsive in the roadway after being hit by a vehicle. Further police investigation showed that a 23-year-old man was driving a 2024 Toyota BZ4X, an electric car, northbound on the Molshalou Parkway, just north of the major Deegan underpass. when he struck the pedestrian who was in the roadway. EMS arrived and rushed the victim to St. Barnabas Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Shit. This is insane, man. This is really fucking insane. This is fucking insane. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, this is insane, man. Yeah, this is insane, man. Um, Police are withholding his name pending family notification. Meanwhile, the Toyota BZ4X driver initially fled the scene but returned, police said. There are no arrests, but the NYPD Highway District Collision Investigation Squad continues to investigate. Now, on to some updates in regards to the Interborough Express, right? Um, the thing that kind of caught me was like, wait a second, so this is crazy, man. So, um, Metropolitan Avenue is the next stop on the MTA's IBX, which is Interborough Express, a proposed light rail that would connect Queens to Brooklyn without going through Manhattan. The station will be located near the last stop of the exiting M train line, which starts its run at 71st Street. 71st Street? You mean 71st Avenue? 71st Avenue, 71st Continental Avenue, of course, Forest Hills, Queens, New York, and loops through Manhattan and Brooklyn. Located in Middle Village, Queens, the Metropolitan Avenue stop poses one of the biggest challenges for the light rail, which just entered its design phase this summer, featuring a nearly $166 million design contract with Jacobs and HDR. Wow, HDR. Yeah, sorry about that. That's what I was trying to press. Anyway, let me continue here. Um, All Fates Cemetery rests in the hearts of Middle Village. Hmm. And let me see. Let's see. Okay. It is also located above the planned tracks for the IBX. Christ the King High School, located at 6802 Metropolitan Avenue, is centrally located next to the M train station near the cemeteries. A 4-year Catholic high school with a college prep curriculum. The IBX would open many doors for students throughout the city. The MTA presented several options for building the IBX around the historic cemetery to the public. Crossing Metropolitan Avenue at street level was considered, though ultimately deemed impractical. Instead, builders will create a tunnel underneath the burial park by going under the cemetery. The 14-mile light rail train, which will link Jackson Heights to Bay Ridge, would follow existing freight line tracks that are still lightly used. Designers and engineers have not yet determined how deep they would have to tunnel underneath graves. AM New York contacted the cemetery for comment on the train line but did not receive a call back. Meanwhile, MTA officials said they would work with cemetery staff to expand a narrow tunnel that freight trains currently run through or build a new tunnel next to the existing one to make room for the light rail. Designers will be tasked with conducting this work in the most cost effective and least disruptive way. As far as disruption goes, light rail is not known to be as intrusive or bulky as subway trains. According to the New York State Department of Transportation, light rail lives up to its name by being considered a lightweight passenger rail line that operates in short consists of one or two cars or fixed rails on shared or street running rights of ways. Subways are heavier and characterized by high speed and or rapid acceleration. Right, right. Digging into the history of all fates and Mount um Olive no Olivet cemeteries. Not to be overshadowed by the IBX is the deep local history of All Fates Cemetery. At 225 acres, the cemetery is home to the final resting place of many notable figures. Both of Cheeseface President 47's parents and grandfathers are buried here. There is also a monument to a dark day in NYC's history with the remains of 61 unidentified victims of the General Slocum steamboat disaster resting in the burial park. The General Slocum was a side-wheel passenger steamboat that caught fire and sank in the East River, killing an estimated 1,021 out of over 1,300 people on board. Near All Fates Cemetery is Mount Olivet, another smaller but still sprawling cemetery that was established in 1847 with land acquired from the estate of James Waterbury. At 71 acres, the cemetery was a destination point in the 19th century because it had amazing views of NYC, which is New York City, of course. From a historical point of view, the large memorial park has many destinations within its fences. The Grand Army of the Republic lot holds the graves of 25 Civil War veterans. Several members of the World War One division, known as the Harlem Hellfighters, are also buried at Mount Olivet. Prohibition era NYC gangster Jack Legs Diamond is buried at Mount Olivet after he was gunned down in 1931, though his grave is not marked or listed in public records. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did I see? Yes, yes. So far, I'm keeping track of the score right now with the Mets. So far, it's like 6-1. Brett Beatty hit a home run. Don't worry. To all the Mets fans out there, I'm actually keeping track of this. I'm watching it on my Android tablet, like I said before. All right, so I got y'all covered on that. Anyway, let's see what I was. Yeah, Mount Olivet is also home to the oldest Japanese burial ground in NYC. Every Memorial Day, Japanese families gather on site for the Japanese grave attendance ceremony, conducted by Buddhist priests and Christian ministers. The group then heads to Cypress Hills Cemetery in Brooklyn, where the cemetery is repeatedly, excuse me, where where the ceremony is repeated. Excuse me. Um, what do New Yorkers think of the IBX? In the meantime, AM New York has spoken with many Queens and Brooklyn residents about their thoughts on the proposed train, including some who welcome it and others who question it. Cal of Queens is usually against um, NIMBYism, NIMBYism, but agrees with others who feel the train might not be necessary for parts of the borough. While the neighborhood is kind of a transit desert, if most people in that neighborhood want to go to Manhattan, the IBX may not be beneficial for the residents, the New Yorker said. As for the other stop by the cemetery, everyone rejoiced that this section was not going to be street running as originally planned, and it should stay that way. While I'm on the fence on whether the Elliott Avenue stop should exist, the Metropolitan Avenue stop is non negotiable as it is a transfer point. Ivy, who lives in Brooklyn, said the IBS is a great idea because it connects to two boroughs without going through Manhattan. And yeah, let me see. Let me see. Like exploring the future. Like, yeah, yeah. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about the Interborough Express project that's happening in between two boroughs of Brooklyn and Queens, which is not going to Manhattan. Let's see. Um, I did see this. I did see the story involving Glendale, Queens, New York. So is the next one continues like this. So all aboard the next stop on the MCA's IBX, which is Interborough Express, is trendy and hopping Myrtle Avenue in Glendale and Ridgewood, Queens, New York. As the IBX, a 14-mile light rail proposed by the MTA is to connect Queens and Brooklyn, continues its southward journey. It arrives at Myrtle Avenue, the last stop in Queens, and likely the first station to be located above street level. The proposed station is square in the middle of a vivacious shopping district in Glendale and Ridgewood. The rail line borders both communities. That's lined with thrift and antique stores, beauty salons and cafes and restaurants. In essence, it's a delightful oasis where a New Yorker can spend an exciting afternoon antique hunting and end the day with a delicious dinner. That's interesting. That's interesting. All right, so some might call the area a hipster's paradise. Oh shit. Gentrification in Ridgewood and Glendale. Located on Glendale Ridgewood border, the Myrtle Avenue stop is in a neighborhood that has been experiencing gentrification for more than a decade. East and west of the proposed stop are local shops and restaurants offering international cuisine. Neighborhood goers can enjoy Latin American fare while dining al fresco or a cocktail at various spots, including the quaint Mount Mon Cherry Italian bar and restaurant. Sorry for the tongue twister. Just bear with me. Fresh Pond Road, which starts right at the proposed IBX station, runs for several miles and offers almost any fare a foodie could imagine. The street is lined with ethnic restaurants that inspire a true sense of adventure. Polish, German, Thai, Cuban, Chinese, and so much more is available to tantalize taste buds. Traditional Polish delis and Italian bakeries also offer food reminiscent of the old country. Anyone looking forward to using the IBX to get to work would be in for a morning treat. Plenty of authentic New York coffee and bagel joints surround the area of the proposed Myrtle Avenue station. The neighborhood has a Williamsburg, Brooklyn hipster vibe. Gentrification has hit the area particularly hard. Many real estate sites such as Zillow and Realtor.com have one bedroom apartments in Ridgewood going for an average of about $3,000 a month these days, prompting some residents to lament losing their neighborhood charm. The IBX has massive support from transit officials, Governor Kathy Hochul, and MTA board members who approved the project's $166 million design contract on July 30th. Yeah, my apologies. I had to drink a little water so my mouth don't get dry. So I'm still here. Okay. Wait a minute here. It's not what I meant to do. Okay. Oh boy. 6-1. Um 6-1. Um Suzuki just hit a home run. Anyway, I'm just keeping track of this actually. I'm keeping track of the game actually. So um so yeah. Anyway, let's keep going here with this transit news talk right here. Um, all right, neighborhood character, city of yes, and real estate. But not everyone is on board with the massive project, which is right now expected to cost around $5.5 billion once it's complete. Queens City Council member Robert Holden, whose district includes parts of the IBX route, told AM New York in a recent interview that the plan leaves him with many unanswered questions. In quote, they essentially want to change the character of our neighborhood, Holden said. We love the fact that we can sit in our backyards and feel the sunshine in on our on our faces. Anything that jeopardizes that, you really have to fight it. Giordano, district manager of Queens Community Board 5, shared his thoughts on the IBX with AM New York. End quote. If you are a public transit user, you probably like it because it gives you other options, Giordano said. In Queens and in a lot of New York City, it's easy to get to Manhattan, but to get from one portion to one portion of the borough to another, other than buses via train. There are not too many options. That is the good part, the Queens resident said. The difficult parts of it, I think, are just on a very simple level. How is the passenger train going to be able to coexist with the freight trains that are already there? He asked. The tracks for the current CSX freight train, which carries local trash, run along the planned route for the IBX. The tracks are located next to many stores and offices in Glendale and Ridgewood, including the community board's headquarters on Myrtle Avenue. Giordano posed the question: will residents and workers in the area have more freight trains idling in front of their homes and businesses? The freight trains already engage in a lot of activity on the tracks above Myrtle Avenue. This includes train coupling, when rail cars are joined together, which can be a very noisy endeavor, according to Giordano. And they are doing a lot of this after 11 p.m., he said. AM New York contacted the MTA to inquire about freight train activity and possible idling near Myrtle Avenue. An MTA spokesperson explained that the IBX will not be sharing or crossing with any freight tracks, so it will not impact freight service. In the meantime, the agency's design phase will include engineering surveys, geotechnical and environmental investigations, and structure inspections that will set the foundation for moving the next phase of the work. Echoing some of Holden's statements, Giordano said that there is concern about development. From the standpoint of neighborhood charm, it could be made nice, he said. But here's the kicker. I think there is concern that with the city of Yes proposal for additional housing, that if you are in reasonable proximity to a train station, what is the risk of development that is out of character with the existing housing? The houses that fill the area include swaths of apartments and well kept multifamily brownstones. City officials have said the city of Yes will spark the construction of 82,000 new housing units over the next 15 years. It is too early to estimate how many or if any additional homes will be built near IBX stops. Meanwhile, as IBX plans continue to chug along, Ridgewood and Glendale are two New York neighborhood gems waiting to be explored. So there you go, right there. Um, Let me know in the comments how you feel about the IBX project, which is International Borough Express, being in Glendale and being in Glendale and yeah, wait, Glendale and what is it? In Ridgewood. All right. Express yourself in the comments. Tell me how you feel about the IBX, which is the Interborough Express project being explored and possibly being built in Ridgewood and Glendale, Queens, New York. All right. Okay. So there you go, right there. There you go, right there. All right. So let me see. Let me see if I have my topics in order. Yes. So there you go, right there, man. All right. All right. First and foremost, before I get to the Jimmy Kimmel thing, um, we got a passing that happened recently involving the assassination of Charlie Kirk. All right, so let's get into this right here, right now, in in this segment right here of chatting or the jazz. Give me one moment, folks. All right, on to some unfortunate news right here, actually involving Charlie Kirk, and then I'm gonna go into what Amanda Seals was talking about here, and this is kind of like, all right, here's what's happening here. Here's what's happening here. And this is according to the folks from CBS News. This was like what this happened recently, actually. All right, so all right, so law enforcement officials on Friday announced the arrest of 22-year-old Tyler Robinson for the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Kirk, a conservative activist. For those of you who may not know, he was a conservative activist and co-founder of Turning Point USA, also a podcaster host. Died Wednesday after he was shot at an event at Utah Valley University. He was speaking to a large crowd at an outdoor Prove Me Wrong debate where he invites students to challenge his political and cultural views. Authorities shared a video late Thursday of the suspect climbing down from a roof following the shooting. After sharing images throughout the day of a person of interest and asking the public for help in identifying the individual. Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, spoke out late Friday, vowing that Turning Point USA will keep hosting campus events. Cheeseface President 47 paid tribute to Kirk, and elected officials on both sides of the aisle swiftly condemned the attack and denounced acts of, political violence. Um, Erica Kirk says her husband was killed because he preached a message of patriotism. Says Turning Point USA events will still go on. Um, Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, vowed Friday to continue her husband's conservative activism work, saying the movement my husband built will not die. She said Turning Point USA will still host its fall campus fall college campus tour and its America Fest conference in December will still take place. The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done, she said. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. They should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. Um, the cries of this widow and will echo around the world like a battle cry, she said. Earlier in her address, she referred to her husband as a martyr. I don't know why you would do that. I don't know why you would do that, but anyway. All right. So, in an emotional address Friday, Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, said her husband wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith. He was the protect. He was the perfect father. He was the perfect husband, she said in her first public remarks. Um, since Kirk was fatally shot Wednesday. She also thanked police, first responders, and staff at Turning Point USA, as well as Vice President JD Vance and Cheeseface President 47. Um, Cheeseface President 47, my husband loved you, and he knew that you loved him too, she said. Um, Who is Erica Kirk, you ask? Erica Kirk will make a public appearance on Friday, 2 days after her husband's 4 years. Charlie Kirk was killed in a shooting at Utah Valley University. Erica Kirk collaborated with her husband for years, often speaking at Turning Point USA events about politics, religion, and her beliefs on family. Charlie and Erica Kirk frequently spoke about their marriage in public events, offering advice to younger attendees and promoting conservative views on family. For me as a wife, my biblical, biblical role is to be the helpmate to my husband, Erica Kirk said in an appearance on the Charlie Kirk show earlier this year. That does not mean I'm less than you. That does not mean that I am above you. During during that appearance, Erica Kirk says she's more conservative than her husband. Not even close, Charlie Kirk agreed. I am a moderate compared to Erica. She also hosts a podcast called Midweek Rise Up. She founded a clothing line called Proclaim and a ministry called Bible in 365. A Phoenix area native, Erica Kirk won Miss Arizona USA in 2012. She attended Arizona State University and later earned a Juris Master in Legal Studies from Liberty University, according to a biography on her website. She and Charlie Kirk wed in 2021 after they got engaged in 2020 and started dating in 2018. According to social media posts, they had two children. Um, so, so, um, so yeah, I think this is crazy, man. Like, a lot of people felt like he got killed because of his opinion. Like that's crazy to me, man. This is the craziest shit that I ever heard in my. This is the craziest shit that I ever heard, though, man. Um. Anyway, so Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray, basically expected to file formal charges against Tyler Robinson on Tuesday, which took place September 16th, 2025. The Utah County Attorney's Office said in the news release this past Friday. The office let me see. The office said it is reviewing the evidence in order to determine what charges it will file against Robertson. Jeez. So, all right. A spokesperson for the social media platform Discord said that it removed an account associated with Tyler Robertson, who police have accused of killing Kirk for violating its off-platform behavior policy. Um, in quote, we strongly condemn violence of any kind, including political violence, and we will continue to coordinate closely with law enforcement, a spokesperson for the community said in a statement. Um, But the statement also refuted that messages about planning details were sent on the platform. Cox, Utah's governor, said during the press conference earlier Friday that Robertson's roommate showed law enforcement Discord messages affiliated with a contact Tyler that referenced the need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the gun in the bush and the rifle wrapped in a towel. We are deeply saddened by this tragedy and extend our condolences to the Kirk family and everyone affected. In the course of our investigation, we identified a Discord account associated with the suspect, but have found no evidence that the suspect planned this incident or promoted violence on Discord, the spokesperson said. The messages referenced in recent reporting about planning details do not appear to be on Discord messages. The spokesperson said the messages were communications between the suspect's roommate and a friend after the shooting, where the roommate was recounting the contents of a note the suspect had left elsewhere. Jeez, man. This is crazy, man. So overall, the moral of the story is Tyler Robertson has been arrested and has been charged with the murder of Charlie Cox. So SIP to Charlie Kirk. And the thing that bothered me in regards to the whole thing is that why are we killing people over opinions? Like, that makes no sense to me. Everybody has a right to an opinion, in the same way everybody has a right to have free speech and whatnot whatsoever. Which I'll get to the Jimmy Kimmel thing in a second after the Amanda Seales story, which I'm about to do next. It's just I just find it so fucking baffling to me, man. Like, yo, and then you have fucking idiots who are a bunch of ignoramus motherfuckers, a bunch of nothing burgers mixed with cheese fries who 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 want to celebrate a person's death. Like, I can never celebrate a person's death, man. That's crazy to me. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I can never celebrate a person's death, man. I can't do that. And to me, that's just spreading ignorance, man. That's just ignorance, man. And speaking of ignorance, man, Amanda Seales. Let's get to her right now, man. Let's get to her, and this is from Hot 97's website. Um, now, uh, now a lot of people are mixed on this on what she said actually. So, Amanda Seales offered a candid and controversial response um, to the assassination of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk, using her Instagram story on September 10th to reflect on the irony and symbolism of his death. The actress and comedian began by making clear that she could not feel empathy for Kirk, explaining that his worldview and values were too far removed from her own. I can't have empathy for someone like Charlie Kirk because I cannot be in his shoes, she said. Um, Seals emphasized that Kirk himself had previously dismissed empathy as some new age made up shit, a position that she argued left little room for compassion in return. She cited Kirk's past remarks about gun rights, particularly his beliefs that people got to be sacrificed in order to protect guns, as evidence of a worldview she could not reconcile. If he was saying that while fighting for reparations, I may have a little bit of empathy, Seals added. What is with everybody in reparations, man? Anyway, turning to the circumstances of his killing, Seals underscored the irony that Kirk was shot mid-speech at a college event while discussing black gangs. The shooter, authorities confirmed, was an older white man in Utah. This is so fucking crazy, man. This is fucking crazy. Seals seized on that detail with biting sarcasm, noting, "Ain't no way it was." Hold on a second. Hold on. All right. Well, I'm trying to get this Android tablet to load. The Mets still in the lead as the Cubs just scored two runs. Now the New York Mets are trying to score more. Now they got 6 runs and stuff. That's if they could keep this alive. So, all right, just a little update on the New York Mets and the Cubs game. All right, so let me just where did I leave off here? Yeah, ain't no way it was a black man that took that man out, not in Utah. She characterized the incident as white on white violence, flipping the language often used to stigmatize minority communities. Seals also explained why she feels more sympathy for strangers who die from drug overdoses than for Kirk, arguing that addiction reflects the hardships and numbness of life. In contrast, she saw no shared humanity with the conservative activist. Her remarks concluded with an observation on timing, pointing to the grim irony of Kirk being fatally shot in the middle of criticizing gangs. Life comes at you fast, she said, punctuating her story with a refrain that blended sarcasm with finality. Seal's unflinching response highlighted the polarizing nature of Kirk's legacy while raising questions about empathy, ideology, and the narratives surrounding violence in America. Look, I know some people are mixed on this, on what she said or whatever, but she didn't say anything wrong. But I guess she can't relate. She can't really relate to his views or whatever. But at the same time, like, there's some people who were in the comments who were basically talking about, she said a controversial, ignorant thing in her Insta story. But like I said before, man, everybody has a right to an opinion. Everybody has a right to an opinion and stuff. So you know what I'm saying? So I'm about to move on to the Jimmy Kimmel situation. A little recap. Hang on a second. Mets are leading now 8-2 so far over the Cubs. And of course, Tyrone Taylor with the hit, and yeah. So let's get to the Jimmy Kimmel thing, man. A little recap of what happened, and along with certain people, late night talk show host. I'll get to even daytime talk show hosts actually chimed in on the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel and all that other stuff. So let's get to it though. Let's discuss. Let's discuss. Um, all right. According to USA Today, after ABC suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live over the comedian's comments on Charlie Kirk, reactions have been swift. Um, Reactions have been swift, and many questions remain. The Walt Disney owned network confirmed to USA on Wednesday, September 17th, that it has indefinitely pulled Jimmy Kimmel's late night talk show following comments he made on a September 15th episode regarding the fatal shooting of the conservative commentator. The remarks were made during his opening monologue when the Who Wants to Be a Billionaire host criticized supporters of che- Cheese Face President 47 following the arrest of Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old charged in Kirk's killing. Kimmel has said the MAGA gang was desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them. Robinson's mother has told police her son has started to lean more to the left over the past years or so, according to court documents. According to Reuter, Kimmel was seen Wednesday night leaving the El Captain Theater in Hollywood, where his show is taped, but did not respond to a request for comment. USA Today has reached out to Kimmel's representatives for comment. All right. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. This is crazy, man. This is very crazy, though, man. And I believe there was even Jay Leno chimed in. There was a bunch of people. There was a bunch of people actually. Let me just find it actually. All right, so a bunch of late night talk show hosts and daytime talk show hosts. Let me just let me s- yeah, Jay Leno. Let me get to Jay Leno's how he reacted to this um how he reacted to this shit. So according to the New York Post, Jay Leno is the latest former late night TV host to speak out in the wake of ABC's indefinite suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live. It was not a termination. It was a suspension. He wasn't terminated. He was suspended. Um Yeah, so of Jimmy Kimmel Live. Following Kimmel's comments about the September 10th fatal shooting of conservative podcaster Charlie Kirk. End quote, I think Jimmy will land on his feet. He's a talented guy. He's funny, and let's see what happens. Leno, age 75, told Access Hollywood while attending the Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony for former Fox News anchor Chris Wallace on Thursday. I didn't even know Jimmy Kimmel was from Brooklyn, New York until I did some research and I was trying to actually, get all these topics together actually, and as far as like the other talk show hosts that's actually chimed in. So let me just continue where I left off here. All right, so Leno, who used to have a feud with Kimmel, added he may be back on in just a couple of weeks again. So we'll see. It's a comedian talking. If you don't like it, you don't watch it. I mean, let the people decide. If the people like this show, it stays on the air. I mean, it's as simple as that. The former Tonight Show host added. Leno noted that he likes Kimmel and all those guys and thinks they are really talented, seemingly referring to Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, and Seth Meyers, which I'll get to their reactions in a sec. I'm all I'm for free I'm for free I'm for free speech. Um you know Patrick Henry said it best: "Give me speech or give me death." That was the first go around with this argument. He told Access Hollywood, "It's been going on for 200 years, and in a free society, it'll go on for another 200. 200. So that's crazy." Hmm. On Monday, Kimmel spoke about Kirk during his monologue. "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang trying to characterize this kid who killed Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it," he said. In between the finger pointing, the White House flew the flag at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president was taking this. He later reportedly refused to apologize, and it's not clear when the show will return. On Thursday, he was spotted smirking as he arrived at his attorney's office in LA. Leno's remarks comes after he recently reflected on his former feud with Kimmel. On the Jay Leno show in 2010, Kimmel took jabs at Leno about the notorious Tonight Show debacle involving Conan O'Brien. Leno asked Kimmel about the best prank he had ever pulled, and Kimmel replied by referencing Leno and O'Brien. "I told the guy that 5 years from now I'm going to give you my show, and then when the 5 years came, I gave it to him, and then I took it back almost instantly," he said. In April, Leno looked back on the incident during an appearance on In Depth with Graham Bensinger. Excuse me. When Kimmel came on my show and humiliated me on my show, I let it happen. I didn't edit it," Leno said. "It was my mistake. I trusted somebody. I made a mistake. Okay, I should pay the price. And it's fine. It's fine. I mean, we could have edited it out of the show." When asked why he didn't edit it out, Leno noted, "Because it happened. It's real. It happened. It's my mistake. That's how you learn. It's not good TV for me because it started a whole thing that continues to this day." Really, he continued. "But it's okay. It's all right. He's a comic. You do what you got to do. I mean, I wouldn't have done it, but that's okay. That's all right. It is what it is." In 2017, Kimmel told the Hollywood Reporter, "Jay and I made peace after my son had his operation. He called me and he was very nice." Leno, who hosted NBC's The Tonight Show from 1992 to 2009, is just the latest late night host to comment. "Well, guys, the big story is that Jimmy Kimmel was suspended by ABC after pressure from the FCC, leaving everyone thinking, what the fuck?" Fallon said during NBC's The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon on Thursday night. "I do know Jimmy Kimmel, and he is a decent, loving, funny guy, and I hope he comes back," the former Saturday Night Live star, age 51, added. Jon Stewart also made a rare midweek appearance on The Daily Show to weigh in. Stewart, age 62, who typically only hosts the Comedy Central episodes that air on Monday nights, got introduced as the patriotically obedient host to the all-new government-approved Daily Show on Thursday. We have another run. We have another fun, hilarious administration compliance show," Stewart joked. "Coming to you tonight from a real shithole, the crime-ridden cesspool that is New York City. It is a tremendous disaster like no one has ever seen before. Someone's National Guard should invade this place, am I right?" Referring to Trump's visit to the UK, he said, "If you felt a little off these past couple of days rather, it's probably because our great father has not been home. For father has been gracing England with his legendary warmth and radiance. On NBC's Late Night with Seth Meyers, the host said, "Excuse me, Cheeseface President 47 is on his way back from a trip to the United Kingdom, where he was met with protests, while back here at home, his administration is pursuing a crackdown on free speech." Myers, also the same age as Jimmy Fallon, age 51. Hold on. Yes, Myers, age 51, same age as Jimmy Fallon, added, in quote, "May I just say, it is a privilege and honor to call Jimmy Kimmel my friend, the same way it is a privilege and honor to do this show every night. I wake up every day and count my blessings that I at least live in a country that purports to value freedom of speech." As a soundbite played a fart sound behind his words, Maya said, "We're going to keep doing our show like we always do, with enthusiasm and integrity." Meanwhile, David Letterman, age 78, weighed in while speaking at the 2025 Atlantic Festival. He hosted Late Night with David Letterman from 1982 to 1993 on CBS. "This is misery," the former talk show host said. "We see where this is all going, correct? It's managed media, and it's no good. It's silly, it's ridiculous. And you can't go around firing somebody because you are fearful or trying to suck up to an authoritarian criminal administration in the Oval Office. That's just not how this works." He added, "In the world of somebody who is an authoritarian, aka a bully, maybe a dictatorship, sooner or later everyone is going to be touched." Before I go on to Jay Hud, Kelly Clarkson, and of course the reaction to what Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, and Seth Meyers and whatnot, I want to explain something actually. I want to explain something to you folks at home, actually, man. For some of you fucking ignoramus motherfuckers. A comedian is a person whose job is to make fun of people, and as far as like having opinions. You feel what I'm saying? Like the reason why there was the reason why you see videos of a protest that happened in New York was because of the fight for free speech. Now, I know other people are saying if you are an employer or whatever, you don't really get free speech. Um and you have other people including Charlamagne the guy who said that free speech is not free. Now, yes, it does come with limitations, but that does not mean that you can't practice your constitutional right to actually express yourself and how you feel about a certain individual. All right, like that to me makes no fucking sense. And another thing I like to add is that this shit is so fucking despicable, and this shit is so fucking despicable and disgusting of what the people from Disney and ABC did to Jimmy Kimmel over an opinion, over an opinion, and again You're trying to spread this fucking poisonous disease of cancel culture again. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, everybody has a right to an opinion. The same way everybody has a right to express themselves in a way. Whether it's because the purpose of a comedian is to take our minds off of stressful events, stressful situations such as chaotic the chaotic war that's going on right now. Um the chaotic war that's going on in international spots, which I'm not gonna have time to actually go into. Um, and I feel like you have to understand that you cannot put a fucking price on free speech, because the fact of the matter and the reality is you can't go around firing people because you don't like what a person says. You can't fucking do that. Yes, there's limitations. I understand there's limitations and stuff, but that does not mean you can't express your opinion and your thoughts on certain things. Earlier, I found out on Facebook that one of the football players, Patrick Mahomes, had expressed his views on what the hell is going on involving the whole Jimmy Kimmel suspension. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like this one right here is a little different from the Colin Kaepernick situation. Uh, when he took a knee to actually express himself in terms of police brutality and injustices and stuff, based on rotten apple cops. But this one is a little different. This one is a little different, and not to really compare, but at the same time, what everybody has in common is that they have a right to express themselves, how they feel, and as far as like constitutional rights. The same way it took us years to have the right to vote. And you have the Bill of Rights, you have all that stuff, man. And Harvey Levin from TMZ talks about democracy so much, and yeah, he's right about democracy, and as far as like anything else. And I'm all about taking a stand on certain things that's like wrong and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I am so glad I didn't vote for I didn't vote for that cheese face President 47, who is a fucking nothing burger mixed with cheese fries, who is ruining people's lives over ruining people's lives over revenge. And then you want to like try to put tariffs and stuff on people's businesses and stuff and ruin people's lives and stuff. The man's a fucking crook. Okay? He's a fucking crook. The point I'm trying to make with this whole free speech thing, man, is this, man. Like I said, you cannot put a price on free speech, because it would be a catastrophe if you try to put a price on free speech and constitutional rights. And a lot of people in the comments section in on Facebook was trying to take a stand, man. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it though. So yeah, and I remember watching Jimmy Kimmel live years ago. I used to watch this show actually. Um, and I didn't know he was from. Like I said, I didn't know he was from Brooklyn until he was raised in. I was reading somewhere that he was raised in. I could be wrong on this, but don't quote me. But he was raised in what? Las Vegas or some shit like that. I'm not too sure, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me, but but you know the point of a comedian is to make people laugh. The point is to make people laugh, to put a smile on their face, to make sure that it kind of helps with people's mental health and their sanity. Like, you can't let you know every bad thing get the best of you and ruin your sanity. And I get that all of that is part of life, but at the same time, you just cannot, you can't put people in a fucking box, man. Same way with the idiot from the FCC. And the people from Nexstar and the people from Nexstar and that other company, that I was just about to get to, and stuff, man. To be honest with you, they suck. The Nexstar and St. Clair are the people who decide to not to air Jimmy Kimmel Live in certain states. But you know something. But you know something. Um, he will. Jimmy Kimmel will come back. Will come back with a vengeance on those who try to prey on his downfall based on an opinion and free speech. Come on. Come on. Give this guy a fucking break. Ah, man. You know, I've been a fan of Jimmy Kimmel, and along with others and other comedians, especially Donnell Rawlings, who was also on TMZ Live recently. And it's just, he feels like, comedians are basically put in a box that they can't say certain things that's gone too far. You know, even the FCC are a bunch of idiots. They're a bunch of idiots who don't know what the hell they're talking about here. And they don't understand free speech and stuff. Well, look, you know what? And even there's a bunch of shows out there that's actually out there who is going to basically, continue to express themselves. All right. Now look, let me get to the other late talk show reactions and stuff, and whatever topics I don't get to as far as Nexstar and St. Clair. I heard there's going to be like a fucking merger going on, and I have to say, man, Nexstar and St. Clair, they really fucked up this time. They really fucked up this time. They really fucked up. Yes, they did. They really fucked up. So let me get to the other reactions by Fallon, Colbert, and Myers. Let's get to it right here. So, and this is from TMZ. They actually got this. They actually got this story actually. So I'm actually glad I'm a TMZ fan actually. So anyway, so let's get to some of the stuff that they're talking about here. So network late night. Excuse me. Yeah, network late night. They actually accidentally put light instead of night. So network late night hosts are rallying behind Jimmy Kimmel after his ABC suspension, tackling the controversy in their Thursday night monologues. The Tonight Show host Jimmy Fallon, who President 40 Cheeseface President 47's to get fired next, Jokes. ABC getting pressured by the FCC to suspend Kimmel has left everyone thinking, and I think it has to do with the merger of Nexstar and St. Clair, and I believe it has to do, and I believe Disney is involved in this shit as well as ABC. So who knows? Anyway, Fallon quips his father texted him a bunch sending condolences that his show got canceled mistakenly since they share the same first name. But then he gets earnest, saying he has no idea what's going on, calling Kimmel a decent and loving guy and hoping he makes a comeback. All right, a little New York Mets and Chicago Cubs game update. Mets are still in the lead. Cubs just scored five runs. Mets are still in the lead with 8 runs, hoping that they could do more. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, anyway, let's get to anyway. Similar to Jon Stewart, Fallon does a bit sarcastically complimenting Cheeseface President 47's appearance and singing his praises. Oh man. Stephen Colbert, whose show will be taking off the air in May, got serious right out of the gate, opening with a quote: "Tonight we are all Jimmy Kimmel," and slamming Kimmel's suspension as blatant, blatant censorship. The Late Show host points to Cheeseface President 47 renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. That is so fucking stupid, man. Something that may have seemed harmless, but Colbert says with an autocrat, you cannot give an inch. He goes on to say ABC is naive if they think they'll satisfy the Cheeseface President 47 administration. Jokingly, they've never read the children's book. If you give a mouse a Kimmel. Oh wow. Wow, that's funny, man. Oh man. Oh my goodness. Oh man, that's funny. Oh shit. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, Colbert speaks directly to Jimmy, saying he's 100% behind him and his staff. He claps back at FCC Chair Brandon Carr, who said broadcasters need to oppose programming that doesn't meet community values. And Colbert says his community values are freedom of speech. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty dope, though, man. You know what I mean? Anyway, so on late night, Seth Meyers rips Cheeseface President 47's administration for pursuing a crackdown on free speech. Once again, he butters up the Prez, sarcastically dubbing him a visionary innovator. Um, he's not a great president, man, and and an even better golfer. Yeah, right. Myers also calls it a privilege and an honor to call Jimmy Kimmel my friend, assuring viewers he'll keep doing his show with enthusiasm and integrity. He closes by saying this is a pivotal moment for democracy, urging everyone to stand up for free expression. And Jimmy Kimmel shouldn't have to fucking apologize, man. And and the thing that really got me so so outraged and upset was TMZ Live. I was watching yesterday. They had a congressman with one eye and an eye patch. This man has no fucking idea what it's like to have a fucking late night talk show and to be able to tell jokes. That's what a comedian does. Okay? That's what a comedian does. And like I said before, man, you cannot put a fucking price on free speech, and you cannot put comedians in a fucking box. All right. Um, I like what J Hud, aka Jennifer Hudson, and along with Kelly Clarkson's basically took a stand involving this though. So this is from storyhorizon.net. Let me just I want to actually get this. So let me just go through this. Let's go through this. Hold on a second. Let me just make sure that my shit is actually working. Let me see. Yeah, let me get that out the way. Anyway, so the standoff between Jimmy Kimmel and ABC has become a defining episode in America's ongoing debate over freedom of speech and the consequences of controversy in the public eye. New details have emerged that the late night host was given a choice: apologize to Charlie Kirk's family and pay compensation, or remain suspended from ABC, the country's largest network. Like I said, man, I feel like he shouldn't have to apologize. He should not have to apologize for expressing how he feels about the whole thing. He's exposing Cheeseface President 47's revenge villainous fucking agenda. Okay. So FCC and ABC and Disney, y'all gotta fucking relax, man. All right, y'all gotta fucking relax, because if y'all can't take a fucking joke, then don't fucking watch TV. Then be the old cranky old heads as you fucking want and try to be part of cancel culture, which is not helping people's mental health and sanity. So fucking cut it out with this bullshit. Anyway, let's see. Kimmel refused, as he should, insisting that free expression should never come with a price tag. That's right. I agree. The decision split opinion nationwide and drew responses from celebrities and fans alike. One voice, however, cut through the noise with particular force. Jennifer Hudson, who you may watch her talk show on Fox 5 at 11 a.m. And of course, it airs at 3 p.m. on My 9. Taking the stage at a recent event, the Grammy, Oscar, and Tony winning performer delivered a message that instantly went viral. Freedom of speech cannot be bought with money. It is the voice of the people, meaning 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 the constitutional rights to free speech is part of who we are as Americans. You feel what I'm saying? So her words sent the audience into an uproar. A reaction mirrored on social media where thousands praised her for standing up for a fundamental right. For Hudson, who has built her career on resilience and authenticity, this was about more than defending a TV host. It was about protecting a core value, a core American value. Yeah, yeah, I have to agree. I agree, man. I have to agree. So a larger principle at stake. For many, the 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 crux of the controversy was not simply whether Jimmy Kimmel should return to TV, but whether a network should have the power to demand apologies and financial restitution for speech, especially on issues that divide public opinion. Hudson's statement drew a sharp line in the sand, arguing that freedom of speech is not a privilege reserved for those who can afford to buy for their words, but a right that belongs to everyone. Yes, yes, yes. That's why I agree with this. Her stance was all the more powerful considering her own journey. Hudson has survived adversity and heartbreak, turning personal pain into creative fuel. From her breakthrough on American Idol to her rise as one of the few artists to achieve EGOT status, she has consistently used her platform to challenge the status quo. Fan reaction and industry impact. Within hours, Hudson's message was trending, with fans and commentators drawing connections between her artistic courage and her public advocacy. Supporters praised her willingness to speak out, with many noting that her story rising above tragedy, staying true to her roots, making her words resonate even deeper. For ABC, the controversy is far from resolved, with the network's decision continuing to spark debate in the media and behind closed doors. For Kimmel, Hudson's support adds a new dimension to a fight that has already be- already become about more than just one show or one joke. And I will talk about Jimmy Kimmel's return in the following future episodes. So don't worry about that. A defining moment in the free speech debate as the dust settles. Jennifer Hudson's words have reframed the narrative. The question is no longer whether Kimmel or Kirk's family will reach an agreement, but whether the nation is prepared to accept a world where speech can be silenced by financial demands. For Hudson and for millions of Americans watching, freedom of speech remains a birthright, not a bargaining chip. And in this moment, her voice has become a rallying cry for anyone who believes that truth, above all, should never be for sale. I know that's right. I know that's right. And I'm gonna applaud J Hud alongside with Jay Leno, alongside with Jimmy Fallon, um, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, and along with Kelly Clarkson, and of course Jimmy Kimmel making his return and all that stuff, which I will talk about in the following episode. And of course, Kelly Clarkson, according to D News. So all right, so Kelly Clarkson vows to defend free speech after Jimmy Kimmel's termination. Um, termination. He was suspended. He wasn't terminated. Her 12-word statement sparks a media firestorm in America. A storm begins with 12 words. Kelly Clarkson has always been known for her powerhouse voice, authenticity, and courage. But this time, it wasn't a song that shook America. It was 12 words. after news broke that late night host Jimmy Kimmel had been terminated. Clarkson boldly stepped forward to defend the principle of free speech. Now, before I continue, ABC and Disney deserve the fucking backlash. They deserve the fucking backlash because they really fucked up though. They really fucked up because they're upset because they can't take a joke, and you think a joke. First of all, a joke sometimes okay. A joke supposed to make people laugh, and not all the time. Not all the time, people are going to be upset about a joke. Of course, you're going to have those who's going to be upset about a joke, but at the same time, you have to understand what a comedian's job is supposed to do. They're supposed to make fun of people. You feel what I'm saying? You can't put people in a box and make and make them one thing. That's not. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna fucking happen. All right. Her short yet powerful statement set off a media firestorm, sparking debate across the nation about freedom, censorship, and the responsibility of public videos. Yeah, I don't like censorship either. I don't like censorship either, though. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it. I don't like it. Jimmy Kimmel, a long-standing figure in American late-night television, has never been shy about speaking his mind. His sharp humor and political commentary often push boundaries. When reports of his termination surfaced, he was suspended, not terminated. Surface reactions were swift and polarized. Supporters cried foul, claiming censorship. Critics suggested his time had simply run its course. Amid this heated atmosphere, Clarkson entered the conversation with her unmistakable clarity, and what she said turned heads instantly. Kelly Clarkson's 12-word declaration. Without hesitation, Kelly Clarkson stated, in quote, if free speech dies here, the soul of America dies too. Just 12 words, but they carried the weight of generations. Clarkson wasn't defending one man's career. She was defending a principle. To her, the issue was bigger than Kimmel. It was about America's foundational right to speak freely, even when it makes people uncomfortable. Why her words sparked a firestorm, you ask? The reaction was immediate. News outlets picked up her statement. Headlines blasted across television screens, and social media platforms lit up. Hashtags supporting Clarkson trended within hours, while others criticized her for oversimplifying a complex issue. Fans praised her courage. Kelly said what we were all thinking. One wrote online, she stood up for something bigger than herself. Detractors argued that free speech comes with responsibilities and consequences. To them, Clarkson's statement ignored the nuances of media, corporate policy, and public accountability. But one thing was undeniable. She had started a conversation America couldn't ignore. Clarkson's history of authenticity. Clarkson's words Kelly Clarkson's words resonated because they matched the reputation she has built over decades. From winning American Idol in 2002 to hosting the Kelly Clarkson Show, she has always been seen as relatable, unfiltered, and genuine. Unlike many celebrities, she doesn't shy away from uncomfortable topics, whether addressing body image, personal struggles, or now freedom of speech. She speaks from the heart. That authenticity makes people listen and believe she means every word. Fans react, inspiration, and debate. Clarkson's declaration inspired her fans worldwide. Supporters shared clips, graphics, and quotes, turning her words into a rallying cry. For many, it wasn't about Kimmel at all. It was about protecting the core of democracy. One fan wrote, End quote. Kelly reminded us that free speech isn't left or right, it's human. Another added, she made me proud to be American again. Still, debate raged on. Some argued that invoking free speech in the context of a network decision blurred the lines between constitutional rights and corporate consequences. Yet, even critics admitted her words carried undeniable power. Yes, it did. The bigger picture, why it matters. Kelly Clarkson's statement highlights a crucial truth. Free speech remains one of the most contested and cherished values in America. In an era of cancel culture, social media firestorms, and polarized politics, her words struck at the heart of a national struggle. Her declaration doesn't provide easy answers. Instead, it challenges Americans to reflect, what does free speech mean today? Who decides its boundaries, and what happens if those boundaries close in too tight? A voice that transcends music, Clarkson's influence goes beyond entertainment. With her platform, she reached millions who might not otherwise engage in debates about free speech. Her 12 words carried urgency, emotion, and clarity. The kind of message that cuts through noise and forces people to think. In that sense, she didn't just defend Jimmy Kimmel. She defended the principle that voices, even uncomfortable ones, deserve a place in America's conversation. Conclusion: 12 words that echo. Kelly Clarkson's vow to defend free speech shook the nation. With just 12 words, she transformed a story about one man's termination into a broader conversation about America's soul. Whether you agree with her or not, her courage is undeniable. She reminded fans that protecting free speech is not about left or right, it's about preserving the heart of democracy. Her statement has already become more than a reaction to news. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest words carry the deepest truth. And for America, Kelly Clarkson's 12 words may echo for years to come. Yeah, I'm actually proud. Let me before I go on to the next topic, actually, man. Before I go on to the next topic, actually, of course, yes, of course, um, of course, obviously, Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, and along with others had condemned the idea of media amid Jimmy Kimmel's suspension. So that's just crazy, man. It's so fucking crazy to me. All right, one more right here, man. And Kamala Harris isn't saying "I told you so," but the presidential candidate who warned cheese face President 47 would seek revenge on his critics and rivals if voted back into the White House now is cautioning that free speech in America may be on thin ice. While never mentioning Jimmy Kimmel or the late night host's benching by Disney, uh, the former vice president took to social media Thursday to spotlight the larger issue of eroding First Amendment rights under Cheeseface President 47 2.0. Um, y'all know who I'm talking about. I don't want to mention his name, man. Um, what are we witnessing in it is an outright abuse of power, Harris posted. This administration is attacking critics and using fear as a weapon to silence anyone who would speak out. Media corporations, from television networks to newspapers, are are capitulating to these threats. We cannot dare to be silent or complacent in the face of this frontal assault on free speech. We the people deserve better. Um, the posting is latest from high-level Democrats like are resurrected Barack Obama and others against the MAGA attacks on media. However, it is noteworthy that Harris did not mention Kimmel or Disney in her post. It is well known that the former VP is close personally to Disney Entertainment boss Dana Walden, a fact that has been seen over the last year as both a plus and a negative for the exec getting the Magic Kingdom's top job when CEO Bob Iger is scheduled to step down late next year. Those present, those cheese face present 47 attacks on the media have dragged in Harris herself with cheese face 47's President 47's now settled $10 billion lawsuit over editing on a pre-election 60 Minutes interview with then VP Vice President Harris. In the days before David Ellison's Skydance received regulatory approval for its takeover of Paramount, the then Sherry Redstone run company paid Cheeseface President 47 $16 million to make it all go away, which I talked about this episodes ago about the merger of Paramount and Skydance. And y'all can listen to that episode if y'all missed it. A payroll, the soon to be pink slip Stephen Colbert called a big fat bribe on his CBS Late Show. Cheeseface President 47 also received a $15 million payout from ABC Disney late last year to settle another suit, and in recent months has taken the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, among others, to court for critical reporting. 2 days after mocking President 47, Cheeseface President 47's response to the fatal shooting of MAGA activist Charlie Kirk, Kimmel's late night was preempted indefinitely by Disney on Wednesday afternoon. So, for those of you who may not know what indefinitely means, it's basically, unknown. It's basically unknown on what's going to happen. Anyway, just before the Iger run, Disney benched Kimmel. FCC Chair Brendan Carr let off some firecrackers against Kimmel, and ABC and affiliate owners Nexstar and Sinclair said they would pull Jimmy Kimmel Live over his Kirk response remarks. Over the past 24 hours, the backlash to Iger and Walden's decision has seen widespread condemnation, with protests outside the Disney HQ in Burbank and at the Hollywood Boulevard venue where Jimmy Kimmel Live filmed. Meanwhile, Jon Stewart is returning to the Daily Show anchor desk tonight in a rare Thursday stint. Okay. I think the New York Mets so far they lead 8-5. They're going to take 2 out of 3 from the Chicago Cubs. So if they win today, it'll be their 82nd win. All right. So there you go, right there. I'm watching. Don't worry, I'm keeping track of this. Let me see. All right, so Cheeseface President 47 has gloated repeatedly over Kimmel's suspension, both online and during his pomp and ceremony state visit to the UK. You know what I find really ridiculous and fucking strange and idiotic and ignorant? The crazy idea that he comes up with a social media app called True Social, but at the end of the day, and the fact of the matter and reality is that he doesn't tell the fucking truth. The man is a fucking liar. He's a fucking liar. Like, come on, man. Like, come on. This guy is a fucking idiot. This guy's a fucking idiot, man. Anyway, anyway, as for Harris, who has appeared on Kimmel's show previously, is about to start a nationwide book tour for her 107 Days campaign memoir that comes out next week. While declining to run for California governor next year, Harris's public moves in the past few weeks and the book tour adds more fuel to whispers that she is eyeing a 2028 White House bid. As she said on July 30th, I look forward to getting back out and listening to the American people. Helping elect Democrats across the nation will fight. We who will fight fearlessly and sharing more details in the months ahead about my own plans. Besides the book tour, part of Harris's travel includes a September 22nd sit down with Rachel Maddow on MSNBC, which will air likely see the duo discussing Kimmel and Cheeseface President 47's attacks on the Constitution. And so, yeah, the next steps for the ex-Veep may or may not include a visit to late night one way or another. Yeah, yeah, you know what? I want to actually give a round of applause. All right. I want to give a round of applause to Kamala Harris alongside with Jennifer Hudson, Kelly Clarkson, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, and everybody who actually came together to actually have Jimmy Kimmel's back. You don't have to like this guy. You don't have to like this guy. But at the same time, he's not only a comedian, but he's also a fucking human being as well. All right. So yeah, there you go, right there, man. Let me mix. I want to make some noise to actually say that I am proud of Kamala Harris, Kelly, um, Jennifer Hudson, Kelly Clarkson, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, former talk show host Jay Leno, and everybody who came together to stand up for the free speech, democracy, and the Constitution and constitutional rights. Because constitutional rights is part of who we are as Americans. Let's not forget that, and let's not forget that um, free speech is not for sale. You can't. It's not something you can buy, as Jay Hud said. So let's make some noise for them. Okay. Whatever, like I said, man, whatever topic I don't get a chance to get to, I will talk about it in the following episode. All right. Um, I want to talk about so so over the summer there's been 15 frozen pizza recalls over the summer that happened, which took place July 5th. And this was reported from Food Republic. All right, here's what's going on here. Though no food can claim to be universally liked, pizza comes as close as anything, meaning recalls are bound to impact large swaths of the population. This is especially true as, in addition to pizzerias serving as a fixture in communities with different types across the country, the plethora of options of ready-made frozen pizzas are enough to merit their own section in supermarkets. Just as no two pies can be considered exactly alike, so too are no two recalls identical. And every stage in the production process, from harvesting the ingredients to packaging completed pizzas, is susceptible to risk, as are the steps in getting a slice all the way to your plate. Because of that, strict inspection standards are excuse me are upheld. But even though with those safeguards in place, human error or otherwise happens. As a result, issues with allergens, bacteria, and foreign contaminants are just some of the problems that have led to recalls of pizza shipments from hundreds of pounds up to millions of pounds. It's a shame considering there are some pretty tasty frozen pizzas out there. These are some of the worst recalls in recent history. The recent recalls includes the 802 VP Frozen, which took place in 2024. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. This is crazy though. Yeah. So merging classic preparation. Hold on a second here. With modern convenience, the VP Pie and Pasta Company out of Newport, Vermont, offers a variety of toppings for its 802. Hang on. 802 VP frozen pizzas with crispy wood fired crust, while consumers can enjoy a pesto, red pepper, and artichoke pie or a truffled mushroom pizza and ditch their oven for a cast iron pan to capture the crispiness. It was over 8,200 pounds of the meat option that was impacted in April 2024 by a recall over an undeclared soy allergen. Soy poses risk ranging from hives and digestive discomfort to anaph hold anaphylaxis and death depending on the severity of the allergy. Fortunately, in this instance, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Food Safety and Inspection Service had been responsible for discovering the risk rather than an impacted customer. In fact, the agency detailed at a time of the recall of the pizzas produced over the span of an entire year that there had been no confirmed reports of adverse reactions, and the undeclared allergen had been discovered thanks to routine checks through the production process. Um, Grower Sputz pizzas and Papa John's, damn, not Papa John's, Home Run Inn, Danny Cuban's Pizza, Ready Dough Pizza, Never heard of that. DiGiorno crispy pan crust. Everybody heard of DiGiorno. Table 87. Hold on. All right. So far, first out. They got 2 more outs to go. High V, Marcus Side, Wells, DiGiorno. Oh boy. But these are previous years, man. These are previous years. Whole Foods, Mama, Cozy's, Pizza Kitchen, Farm Rich. These are previous years that happened, man. I mean, this was posted. This was posted over the summer, actually. So I just wanted to go over that as well. If you're buying frozen pizzas, be careful. Be careful. Make sure if you're putting them in the oven, make sure they are well done, well cooked, and all that other stuff. And of course, before I go on to the next topic, the Mets take 2 out of 3 from the Chicago Cubs. 82 wins and 76 losses. All right. No, 77 losses. My bad. They should be fine. You feel what I'm saying? They should be fine, though, man. 2 out of 3. I want to make sure that I get to. Hold on a minute here. Let me make sure that. Let me make sure that I get to. Hold on 1 second here. Hold on 1 second, folks. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me. All right. The next topic I want to talk about. I know everybody has been hearing about this inflation stuff, but I want to talk about the. I want to talk about the. I want to talk about what inflation is and the root cause of the price gouging that's happening in it's just crazy, man. It's crazy. I'll get to that in a sec. Let me just put that. All right, inflation. So let's talk about what this is, man. Let's talk about what this is. So This is from Equifax. Inflation has a big impact on your finances and occurs when the prices of goods and services increase over time. Of course, you can learn what inflation is, what causes it, how it's how it's measured, how to spot the signs of inflation, and how to protect yourself. So, inflation occurs when the prices of so inflation occurs when the prices of goods and services increase over a long period of time, causing your purchasing power to decrease. High inflation can occur as the result of a variety of factors. However, economists often divide the root causes into two categories: demand pull inflation and cost push inflation. Inflation is a complex issue, but understanding the root causes can help you better prepare for increased prices of goods and services such as housing, apparel, food, transportation, and fuel. Let's see. So yeah, have you ever felt like your money doesn't stretch as far as it used to? Chances are it's not your imagination. You are likely noticing the effects of inflation, an economic concept in which the cost of goods and services rise over time. So inflation basically is the sequel to the recession. So inflation is a normal part of the world's economic cycles. um, here are Here's what you need to know about what inflation is, why it occurs, and what you can do to help protect your finances as prices rise. How does inflation work, you ask? Inflation occurs when the prices of goods and services increase over a long period of time, causing your purchasing power or the amount of goods and services you can buy with a single unit of currency to decrease in short. Inflation means that your money may not be able to buy as much today as it could in the past. It is important to understand that inflation is not the same as a price increase for a single good or service. Rather, inflation involves simultaneous and continued price increases of many of the things you buy regularly. So it's not just your grocery bill. First of all, groceries are not a bill. Grocery stores don't send you a bill. Let's get this right, man. You'll see the cost of gas, utilities, travel, and other expenses rise as well. But why does inflation happen in the first place? It often comes down to an imbalance between two different economic forces: supply and demand. Supply describes how much of a good or service is made and sold, and is driven by the businesses that are selling the good or service. Demand, on the other hand, refers to how much of a good or service is purchased at a specific price and is driven by consumers. If demand outpaces supply, inflation tends to follow. All right, so the types of inflation includes demand pull inflation, which is driven by an increase in total consumer demand. If consumers suddenly start spending more money than usual, businesses may find themselves selling more goods and services than they anticipated. If these businesses are unable to keep up with the increased consumer demand, their remaining stock becomes more valuable and prices may rise. Cost push inflation occurs when production costs rise. Unrelated to consumer demand, these increased production costs may lead um to decrease in total supply and subsequent increase in prices to compensate. This is crazy, man. This is crazy, man. And I didn't yeah, this kind of inflation tends to happen during periods of high consumer confidence, such as when unemployment rates are low and wages are high. Um, this kind of inflation is commonly observed when the price of oil increases, making manufacturing operations more expensive. For example, the 1970s energy crisis was largely responsible for the cost push inflation that occurred during that time period. It's also possible for inflation to result from factors unrelated to the economy. Natural disasters or major world events can disrupt supply chains and reduce the amount of goods available, driving up prices on the stock that remains. It's also possible for a combination of these factors to occur simultaneously, or for one to occur as the result of another. How is inflation measured? Economists measure inflation with something called a price index, which tracks price changes across a specific set of goods and services. The two primary indexes are the consumer price index and the personal consumption expenditures price index. Both serve the same purpose, showing the average change in price of everyday goods and services that American households purchase regularly. This rate is expressed as a percentage. Any increase higher than 2% is typically cause for concern. How does inflation affect interest rates, you ask? Inflation is a complex issue, but one way to control it is through federal monetary policy. Oh boy. Um, when the Federal Reserve, America's central banking system, also known as the Fed, detects rising inflation rates, it responds by raising the federal funds rate. This is a special interest rate related to lending between commercial banks. An increase in the federal funds rate causes a corresponding rise in interest rates on auto loans, mortgages, and other types of credit, making it more expensive to borrow money. Increases in the cost of borrowing money can help to slow down consumer and business spending. Oh man. Um yeah, let me see. It increase. So what was that? So increases in the cost of borrowing money can help slow down the consuming can slow down consumer and business spending, allowing supply chains to catch up to the production of goods and services, which can in turn lead to a drop in prices. Ideally, this curbs inflation and stabilizes supply and demand without longer term consequences, such as a recession. I'm pretty sure everybody heard about that already. Excuse me. When inflation is low, once again, the Fed may decide to decrease interest rates, making it easier to borrow money and encouraging spending. Four ways to prepare for inflation. Review your budget for opportunities to scale back spending. Rising prices mean that your necessities will become much more expensive. A detailed review of your budget, including all your regular expenses, will help you find more room for a higher utility bill and more expensive groceries. Continue saving when you are able. Be sure to maintain an emergency savings fund in case of financial hardship, enough to cover expenses of for 3 to 6 months. For the best return, consider high yield savings accounts, which usually have better interest rates than a standard savings account. Delay expensive purchases. It's probably not cost effective to take out a big loan like a mortgage when inflation is high. If you can, postpone house or car purchases until the economy stabilizes. Continue to invest. It may be tempting to pause regular investments to save money in the short term, but don't. It's important to continue contributions to any retirement accounts if at all possible. All right. All right. That was your understanding of what inflation is and the root causes and how do you prepare. Now we gotta talk about the 6 years of Chance the Rapper, who finally comes out with an album. All right, so Chance the Rapper has finally released Starline, his first album in 6 years. Yeah, so this is according to Hip Hop DX. The Chicago rapper has recruited a star-studded. Let me get rid of that. A star-studded supporting cast for the project, including Lil Wayne, Young Thug, Joey Badass, and the lesser spotted J Electronica. In a statement accompanying the release, the album was described as Chance's global journey, artistically, spiritually, and physically over the past 6 years. Created with longtime producer Dex LVL and shaped by travels to Ghana, Jamaica, and arts fairs around the world, Starline blends hip hop, soul, and experimental sounds with lyrical meditations on identity, resilience, and legacy. While Chance has circled the globe in search of new perspectives, the project remains grounded in the worldview that has always defined his art, a deep, unshakable connection to Chicago and to Black culture across the diaspora. Let me see. Hang on a second here. Hang on 1 second. What the hell's going on here? Ah, boy. Come on. All right. Man, let me see. Where was I? Starline is also Chance's first release since his divorce from Kristen Coley. The former couple shared two children, and Chance appeared on CBS Mornings to talk about the current state of their family dynamic. He said, in quote, "She's good. Hey, Kristen, and hey, Kensley and Marley. You know, family is one of the biggest things for me, for her, for my kids, for my mom and dad. So I think the most important thing for anybody that's having to navigate that is making sure you keep an environment for the kids where they understand that's the priority." Chance also revealed that his song "Space and Time" is about family. I think it's very important, very personal song about what we were just talking about, navigating the relationship with the mother of my children. The Chicago rapper has been teasing Starline for quite a while, but previously announced that he was putting it back because he didn't like how fans were talking about his work. In a video posted on Instagram last year, the Chance laid out his issues with his followers, referring to his upcoming project as the album, and not its official title when interacting with him on social media. So all right, so this was the main point I was trying to make. Stop calling it the album. He said while riding on his tour bus, and I don't mean that in an ungrateful way. I'm grateful that people are putting in my comments, drop the album. All right, so next we got to talk about let me see. Oh, let me see. So um Dr. Dre's equipment. I forget the name of it though. Let me see. What the hell's going on here? Um All right, so according to Variety, Dr. Dre's SS double SL 4000 G plus mixing console used on landmark albums by himself, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, Gwen Stefani, Mary J. Blige, and many others, was auctioned off for $165,000, setting a new record for the sale of a hip hop instrument or studio item. According to the authentic, according to the authentic authentication and memorabilia platform, The Realist, which auctioned off the console. The previous record for a hip hop instrument or studio item was held by RZA's E Emu SP 1200 drum machine used on Wu-Tang Clan's landmark 1993 debut album. Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers, which sold for $69,000 in 2023. So $165,000 and $69,000. Wow, that's a lot of money, man. You can't really beat that, folks. Anyway, um, let's see. And yeah, that's crazy. That's like the craziest amount of money that I ever heard. Hold on. Hold on. All right. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, what else? Let me see. Let me see what else. All right, so the Dre console is currently on exhibit at the Grammy Museum in Los Angeles and was purchased by prominent cult, cultural collector Ryan Zura, who posted on X. In quote, still the same OG, but low key. Grateful to pick up the signature instrument that Dre took the time to perfect the beat. Brought the oldies, taught you to smoke trees, still Dre. This iconic part of hip hop history will be available to the public at the Hip Hop Museum because it ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. Yeah. Oh man, so the double SL console was sold through platforms straight out of the West Coast hip hop auction, which featured items from DJ Yellow, Snoop Dogg, Exhibit, and others. Other items included NWA's DJ Yella's Straight Outta Compton RIAA plaque, Snoop Dogg's handwritten lyrics, exhibits, signed scripts, and original art proofs, and more. Beyond hip hop, the realest powers memorabilia for teams across the NFL and NBA, FIFA, MLS, and the PGA of America, the Tony Gwynn Estate, J Balvin, NBC Universal, Paramount Pictures, and more. All right, let's talk Fat Joe, man. Let's talk Fat Joe. All right. I previously talked about the whole thing with what's going on with the BET Hip Hop Awards and Soul Train being shelved. So I want to get into his reaction of what he was talking about here. So according to Complex, Fat Joe is slamming Viacom and BET for indefinitely suspending two of its biggest award shows during the Wednesday, August 6th episode. podcast Joe and Jada, the lean back rapper reacted to the announcement by BET CEO Scott Mills to Billboard. Mills told the publication that there's been an indefinite pause of the BET Hip Hop Awards and the Soul Train Music Awards, although the network has a team that's actively thinking about where those award shows might best um, best live as the media climate. To Joey Crack, BET is cleaning house. This is a form of gentrification. What's going on? He told Jadakiss in the clip below. The rapper then recounted BET's history. Hold on a second. BET's history, saying that it came up as a community station for Black people and urban culture and was sold to Viacom and Paramount by network co-founder Bob Johnson. Little by little, over the years, quietly, they've been firing a lot of people behind the scenes at BET and everybody who has something to say, Joe continued. And I know because I've been working on the BET Hip Hop Awards for 3 years. It was like the budget, not for me, but the budget that just kept getting chopped and chopped and chopped. The rapper added that while the BET Hip Hop Awards was undercut, last year's Video Music Awards seemed to have a higher budget, noting Katy Perry's elaborate Video Vanguard Award performance. They still got all the tricks. They still got the budgets. They got the shit, Joe continued. This was like a form of gentrification. They kept underfunding them, and you ain't got no money to be creative. That's why you was watching the Ratchet Awards and all that. They ain't had no bread. Joe acknowledged that BET has afforded him the opportunity to be the Steve Harvey of hip hop, but expressed that the network's award shows cannot function without no money, no promotions, no staff. You might as well have called it the Independent Awards, he continued, and so on. No Soul Train, no BET Awards, but guess what? We got the VMAs. The rapper also predicted that the BET Awards could be on the chopping block. Oh boy. Shit. That's seconds away. The writing's on the wall. He said, if you see everything else falling down, it's a domino. That's the next one. One little fumble by Kevin Hart, one little joke too many. That's over too. Sometimes the goal is to buy your project to suppress you, he concluded. So the goal is, yo, some big company might come and be like, yo, we want to buy Rewinded 10, throw us the bill, and then like shut it down. Like, we've got to keep this thing going. It was reported in June that BT's parent company, Paramount Global, was impacted by layoffs, causing the network to also cut some of its staff. In a statement, Mills planned for BT to begin implementing a streamlined organization structure for the network to continue to operate the functions that are core to our mission, value proposition, and market leadership position. And Complex Con returns to Las Vegas on October 25th to the 26th, 2025, with over 300 brands and live performances by Young Thug, Yeet, and Friends, Peso, Pluma, Central C, Ken Carson, and more. Make sure you go ahead and get your tickets. That's fucking insane, man. This is fucking insane. This is fucking insane. Let me see. Let me see. What else can I talk about here? What else is on the agenda? What else is on the agenda? Hold on a second. What else is on the agenda? Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the video game news right now, actually. So let's go to the video game news, actually. So I want to actually get through this episode right here. Let me see. All right, so hang on 1 second here. Let me see. What did I do? All right, let me see. Okay. Let's go on to the main segment of some video game news, actually. So hold on. Video game news. Hang on. All right, so let's get into some video game news, actually. Hang on 1 second. Let me just find this. All right, folks. I'm gonna get into a little bit of video game news right here. In this segment of video game entertainment newsroom. All right. To all you gamers out there, I'm gonna actually get into this right there. So let's do this. All right. I'm not gonna stay too long on the video game news and stuff. Um, so let's go on to this right here. So um yesterday, Sony held the PlayStation State of Play presentation, and let me see if there's a way to actually you can watch the presentation on the PlayStation YouTube channel page. So basically, what happened? A little recap. So announced earlier this week, Sony said they will share new looks at anticipated third-party and indie titles, plus updates from some of our teams at PlayStation Studios, including an extended look at Sorrows, Mark Housemark Q's mysterious new title arriving next year. You can watch the PlayStation State of Play via the video at the top of this article. It will also be broadcast across PlayStation's official social media channels. Um, and yeah, you can watch it on the YouTube channel page. So basically, here's what's going on. What they know, what we know so far. Um, so far, Sony has confirmed that the PlayStation State of Play will include extended look at Sorrows, the next game from Housemark Q. Housemark Q is best known for Returnal and Wrestle Sorrows was revealed earlier this year. The game stars um, Rahul Kohli, and will continue Returnal's theme of sci-fi action, but the games don't appear to be connected narratively. Sorrows is an action game with the haunting story of a lost off-world colony on Carcosa under the ominous eclipse. Director Gregory Loden said at the time of the game's reveal. You play as Arjun Devraj, a powerful Soltari enforcer who will stop at nothing to find who he is looking for. Our goal is to create an emotional and powerful character study that explores the cost it takes to create a new future. Aside from Sorrow, Sony's state currently includes the Troubled Marathon and the Missing in Action Wolverine. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna do one more topic here. I'll do one more topic here and then that's it. All right, so a remaster of Deuce X is coming next year, developed by um A Aspire and Eidos Montreal. The game is due to be released on February 5th, 2026. This is Deuce X Remastered, the definitive version of Ion Storm's legendary cyberpunk immersive sim, modernized with visual upgrades, modern enhancements, and quality of life improvements for a new generation of operatives. Reads a description for the game. Of course, you can watch it on the PlayStation YouTube channel page as well. Um, this remaster isn't just a visual upgrade, but a preservation of Deuce X's DNA, carefully modernized without sacrificing the conspiratorial paranoia that made the original game so iconic, according to Aspire. Um, each location has been overhauled with new lighting, dynamic shadows, particle systems, and upscale textures. For the first time, you'll see this dystopian future rendered with rebuilt character models, lip sync dialogue, and ragdoll physics. The game will also feature a brand new control scheme tailored to consoles. The new control scheme is inspired by the recent Deuce X titles, Human Revolution, and Mankind Divided. The control scheme has been optimized from the ground up, designed to feel intuitive and responsive, whether you are sneaking through back alleys or storming corporate headquarters. Our approach draws inspiration from what Eidos Montreal pioneered in Deuce X, Human Revolution, and Mankind Divided, refined our radio menus, fluid weapon management, and streamlined navigation, all adapted to modern controllers. On PlayStation 5, that means precision aiming and smooth traversal that makes every argumentation feel natural at your fingertips. All right. All right. I'm going to wrap this up right here, man. And I got a couple of things that I want to say actually before I wrap up here. And let me see. Let's see if I can actually find. Okay. All right, folks. I'm gonna wrap up right here. I'm gonna wrap up right here, and go to this last segment right here, which is stream choices on the go. Let's get into it right here. Let's get into it right here, right now. All right, make sure you follow Off the Meat Rat Chainz New York Avenue podcast on Facebook alongside with Blue Sky Social, alongside with Threads and Instagram. And the same goes with my other podcast shows that I do, which is my sports edition show, Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, alongside with my entertainment review show, Meticulous Vibe Juice podcast. All right. You can also follow your host with the most, G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York, on Threads and Instagram. All right. When you go to the link in bio, you're gonna see a whole list of streaming platforms in the podcast link feeds. All right. It's gonna include Odyssey, Audible, Audio Burst, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you go ahead and leave a 5-star rating and a review. It really helps the show. It helps me gain more confidence in the kind of content that I'm creating and the topics that I'm coming up with from various websites. It really means a lot that you actually tell your friends if they have Apple Podcasts on their phones, on their phones, and of course other gadgets that they use. Spread the word. All right, so the comedy podcast is also the comedy show podcast is on Castbox FM, Deezer, Listen Notes, Moon FM podcast, Overhaul FM podcast, Pandora, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Podo Polo, Panorama, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podverse, Podcast Guru, Podcatcher, Podcast Republic, Snip, and add the podcast to your Spotify playlist so you don't miss out on when the new episodes are going to be released on Spotify. Make sure you press the notification bell so you'll be notified on new episode releases. You can also listen on Snipped. You can also listen on Spotify for creators. You can also comment on there as well. And you can also listen on TuneIn Radio, Fountain, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, the number one app where you can listen to your favorite music artists, including rappers, R&B singers, and other music genres, and of course hip hop artists. You can listen to your favorite AM and FM radio stations, and of course you can listen to the podcast episodes for free. You don't need a credit card or debit card to download iHeartRadio. All you need to do is download iHeartRadio to your iPhones, your Android phones. You can also download it to your iPads, Android tablets, alongside with laptops, which includes Apple, Mac, and of course Dell laptop models are included as well. All right. You can also follow of course, follow the podcast. Make sure you follow Off the Meat Rat Chainz New York Avenue podcast on iHeartRadio alongside with other streaming platforms that I just mentioned. And you can also follow on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel page, G Money Stacks 555 for more live video podcast episodes. Leave a like and a comment on the topics. Tell me how you feel about today's topics in this episode, and of course, express how you feel about the whole Jimmy Kimmel firing and all the other stuff. And like I said, the other topics that I didn't get a chance to talk about with Nexstar and St. Clair, I'll talk about it in the following episode. All right. Look, spread the word. Spread the word by sharing the podcast alongside with the Linktree link that features the podcast feed links with your husbands, your wives, your boyfriends, girlfriends, people you are cool with from work, and of course also enable alerts so you'll be notified on when I'll be on the air live. And for more video podcast episode live streams, and also be sure to also tell a friend to another friend. Spread the word. Word of mouth is important. And of course, like I said, please add the podcast to your Spotify playlist. Make sure you listen and stream the episodes. All that great stuff right there. All the topics are there. And share your reactions in the comments section, man. It'll really mean a lot to me if you show your reactions to the topics in this episode, especially with the Jimmy Kimmel situation and all that great stuff right there. All right, so that's gonna do it for me, man. I'm your man G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator. Rhymes with now or later. And I'd like to say thank you to every single one of you for listening to the 422nd episode titled 6 Years, which is dedicated to Chainz the Rapper, who finally released an album. You can go check it out. Check out the album wherever you can get your music. And remember, the grind doesn't stop. Hard work pays off. If you want something, you have to work hard and earn it. It's not going to be given to you on a fucking silver platter. Find your niche. Don't let anybody stop you on following your goals and dreams, whatever career field you're trying to do. And if you're trying to get into the podcasting field independently, it's never too late to start a podcast, and no matter what age you are, it's never too late for anything. It's never too late to start something, start being creative. And of course, main important things into starting a podcast and all that great stuff is to be yourself behind the microphone. Nobody's going to do that for you but you. All right? Nobody's going to do that for you but you. You have to be yourself. You can't be nobody else. Also, I'd like to add, you don't need a lot of money to actually go to a recording studio to record your podcast episodes. Recording studios in the 5 boroughs of New York, including Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and the outer boroughs, are so expensive right now. You can get yourself a laptop. You can get yourself a supporting software where you have your YouTube channels and other streaming platforms that you use for live streams. You get yourself a laptop, and of course, you can get yourself and make sure your lighting of your live streams and the brightness is not too bright. Make sure your sound quality doesn't distort. Make sure it doesn't go in and out. And as far as your internet is very important. There's no such thing as a perfect recording whatsoever, so don't let that get you down. And of course, be on your P's and Q's creatively, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. That gets you into your zone alongside with tunnel vision. All right. Now look, as I discussed earlier, man, and like I said, man, I like to actually say thank you to those, including the late night talk show host and the daytime talk show host. for taking a stand in regards to, you know, not just democracy, but free speech itself and everything else involving the Jimmy Kimmel thing. And by the way, Jimmy Kimmel has made his return to his own late night talk show. All right. And shout outs to the comedian from Brooklyn, Jimmy Kimmel, for not letting the whole FCC and the crazy administration that's going on right now let him down. All right. And like I said earlier, the point of being a comedian is to make sure that you are there to make people laugh, to cheer people up from bad days at work, stressful situations, whether it's like, stressful stuff hearing all around the world, fatalities and the families or whatever it may be, man. They're there for you. They're there to put a smile on your face, man. You feel what I'm saying? And also I like to actually say, as I said earlier, involving the whole Omni situation. The Omni situation is going to be implemented in the nice bus buses by the end of the year, which is probably going to be, according to Andy from Andy's Randomness, by around January 1st, which is New Year's Day. So yeah, there you go right there, man. I can't wait to use the Omni card that I bought recently and actually make sure, because I already put money on there, and I think I found a way to use it. So we'll see what happens, man. I'll be back with more topics. I'll be back next time with more topics. Tune in next time where I talk about a certain glow in the dark event that is happening. I'm pretty sure many of you probably heard of the 1993 animated movie by Tim Burton called The Nightmare Before Christmas. They're having a lighting event, which I will discuss that tomorrow alongside with other fun activities to do in the segment of Remains to Be Seen. So stay tuned for all of that, and the other topics, movie related, involving the Spawn reboot, alongside with the Mortal Kombat 2 R-rated movie being delayed to May 2026, and alongside with other topics to cover. So stay tuned for that. I'll be back next time. I'll probably record 423 tomorrow, so stay tuned. I'll be back. I'll be recording maybe around 6 tomorrow. And as far as like the other podcast that I'm supposed to record, which is hopefully I'll be able to record that tomorrow, actually. So stay tuned for the recording of episode 148 of the Entertainment Review Show, Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast. I will be recording that tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. I'm gonna get up out of here and watch the longtime Mets fan Wardy NYM. By the way, one of the movie topics that I just mentioned to him involving the Smashing Machine. Just a reminder to Wardy, if he's listening out there, it's on October the 3rd. All right, if you want to go see it, it's coming out October the 3rd, which is next Friday. Not this Friday coming up, but next Friday. All right, I'm out of here. Peace and one love. Be safe. I hope y'all have your warm materials, your warm blankets, your warm clothes ready. Fall's already here. This is only the first week of fall. I know it doesn't feel like it. It's been warm and humid and all that other shit. So make sure you have your winter hats, your hoodies. Make sure you have your scarves ready. Make sure you have your jogging pants, your jogging sweatpants ready. Make sure you have your windbreakers and all that other stuff ready. All right. Stay warm. Stay safe. Stay safe. Stay liquid. Be careful out there. And I'll see y'all on the flip side. Peace and one love. Good night, everybody. Let's go Mets and let's go New York Giants. Peace. Good night.